Thanks for looking at our video log. So this is the second instalment of our talk about Collaborate Ultra. The first video we did, I talked to you about how I was using Collaborate Ultra on the law exam, and I said that at the end of that module I would get some students in to talk to you about their experience of using Collaborate Ultra too. So I'd like to introduce you to Jordan, Khadija and Emily, first year MA social work students. I need to let you into a bit of a secret that we've already tried to do this video last week, but we hadn't set up the Screen-O-Matic properly, so we spent about 10 minutes doing what we're going to do now, but I forgot to open the recorder. So this is the second time they're going to come and do this, and they've just finished their law exam. So it's great that they've come up to do this, so thanks a lot, and I'm so sorry about the technical issues we had last week. A bit ironic talking about technical issues as we're talking about Collaborate Ultra.
I think that links in really well what Jordan said about what you think the biggest critique is making sure it works.
Yeah, I think it's good to start on a more positive note. Yeah, I think that basically throughout this module, having Collaborate Ultra has been really helpful and added another kind of dimension to the way in which we learn at university. We've talked before about how it's a great sort of addition to like the brick and mortar learning that we already have. It's not to be like seen as on its own. It's not an OU qualification. It's not, we're still here studying at Salford. But it's a great addition. It's great to be able to watch back lectures, and it's great to be able to have the freedom, especially as we're on placement at the moment, to have the flexibility of maybe not coming to Salford and being able to do our learning at home and be able to interact with it.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Khadija, what do you think is the best thing about Collaborate Ultra?
I think it's super flexible.
Yeah.
I always get the train to university, and there's always delays. It's always cancelled, so I'm always on the train in the morning. If I can't get to the lecture at 9 a.m, I'm on the train listening to the Collaborate Ultra and taking notes on the train.
Yeah.
So it's always good in that sense, and I think it fits in really well alongside the normal lectures. You can choose whether you come in the morning or in the afternoon. And I think it's a great tool.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, like what you just said, that's my biggest, the biggest benefit for me was just having that option to, if I needed to be at home in the morning, I could then have it going on my laptop with my headphones on. I could be moving around the house, still listening to it, still engaging with it, or I could have it on my phone and be replying to it. And I think I used the term, it's like having uni on the go.
Uni on the go.
But then I'll do the interaction in lessons, so I would prefer to come in the afternoon if possible, or if I can't make it, I can be at home. So it's really good for flexibility. But like we were saying, it doesn't replace face-to-face tutorials and classroom interaction.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Brilliant. That's grand. So that face-to-face, the flexibility. What we did is we ran face-to-face lectures, so it was available to people who wanted to come into uni and sit in a lecture, but we also ran Collaborate Ultra at the same time for those people maybe who were delayed, who couldn't get into uni, so that they could access the learning from home. So I'm getting a sense that was useful.
Yes, really useful.
I think it worked really well, but there's an important part of it being managed really well. Obviously, it's going to add a different kind of a way of leading a classroom for lecturers to be able to sort of chair, if you like, a discussion between people that are in the classroom, but also on the internet, basically. We use the chat function a lot in our lectures, don't we? So you almost have a forum of online people that kind of speak as one within the lecture, which Dan has chaired brilliantly, and I think if any of the lecturers learning to use Collaborate Ultra would do well to watch back one of the recordings of one of our lectures and see how you introduce the online forum into the classroom and to lead discussions, because I think that's worked particularly well for us this year.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, I think the advantage of just popping in links in the chat as well is really
Yeah.
helpful. It's just quickly right there. Even if I'm in lecture and I'm there, I can still log on and click on that link, and it'll pop up on my iPad or my laptop as well. And it's really helpful for everyone at home to get an idea of what we're doing in class as well. And I love the fact that you have like emojis that you can put in there as well. I love the emojis. And they're just it's a chance for people that don't really speak in lectures to speak on there as well, because it's easier just to chat and type up anything that you have.
Yeah, and not just using the type function. If you can access your microphone, you can actually speak from the computer. And I've done that. I've been at home and spoke on the microphone, and I've been in lesson and heard someone on the microphone, and it's a really interesting experience. It's like, because it's like everyone is listening to exactly what you're saying, and you're introducing that new point into the discussion, and it's quite empowering to do that. Yes, and like you said, I've noticed people even using the microphone who maybe wouldn't speak in lessons, so they've got the confidence to use that. And then if not, using the chat function is really beneficial as well. If you just want to say something snappy, or you just want to, because it's sometimes not appropriate to just say this one thing in discussion, but if you just want to say one little thing, then that's useful. But if you want to type a little paragraph of some ideas you've got, that's also really good use of both of the communication functions.
Brilliant. So a sense of some really good things there with Collaborate. What are the things that maybe didn't work as well, or things that aren't as good as they could be?
For me, I think it was when we had lectures, maybe that were with other lecturers. So occasionally we'd have a week where there'd be a kind of like a guest lecturer on a particular specialism who maybe haven't used it before. And therefore there was a lot of time spent tinkering around with the technology, making sure that sound was working, that people could interact, maybe not being quite as good at what was going on behind them on the board, because they're not used to teaching in that way. But I mean, these are all things that can be changed with just a bit of training and a bit of learning. And I think it's really important for the lecturers here to be open to that and be open to change and changing techniques for the benefit of us, because I think that it has benefited my learning personally, and it's benefited a lot of people's learning in different ways as well. We were talking to a student, Ellen Page, just before we came in here, weren't we, about how she probably would have had to quit the course if it wasn't for Collaborate Ultra, because she has mobility issues and she's waiting for some surgery at the moment. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? That she's able to, she's just come into the law exam now and come in and done the law exam from all the learning that she's been able to do, that is the same as the learning that I've been able to do. That's brilliant. So there are obviously going to be some teething issues, but for the greater good, I don't think that they're particularly they're not bad.
Fab.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing program, but I think you have to bear in mind it won't work for everyone, and there are some people that prefer to come into lecture and have face-to-face interaction, and some people prefer it on the computer. And I think if it works alongside lectures, it'll work really well. The one side having it online and one side having it in lecture as well. There's some aspects where I prefer being in lecture and kind of maybe going through a case study, working in groups, but then again you've got the social side on that side. They have their own group where they can just chat and stuff, so I like that as well.
Thank you.
I think it also it's important to note that it's having responsibility for your own learning, and personally I did start to notice that maybe on some Friday mornings I didn't feel like I wanted to engage that well with it because I was at home, I was in my comfort zone, and when I recognised that, because as a student social worker it's important to reflect on your professionalism and your self-directed study is really important, and when I realised that maybe because placement was was in full flow, and maybe because I needed to keep up that pace, so I started coming in the morning because I recognised that in myself. So I think individuals need to be aware that if they're not actually engaging that well with Collaborate Ultra, it's probably not for them, and they do need to be in lesson in person.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So we've had the first module then, the law module, where we've used Collaborate Ultra. What would it be like if we didn't have Collaborate Ultra anymore for the rest of your second year, really?
For me, I'd miss it massively. I think it's been such a advantage having it in this module as in comparison to the first 2 modules that we did. Not to say that they were bad modules, but it's just been such a great addition to have that way of learning, especially as we've come into the time where we're on our placements, and we've got longer placements next year, and to have that luxury and just to have the flexibility of it to watch it again if you've like Emily said, sorry Emily, like Emily said, if you're not engaged, if at the end of a lecture you think I'm not particularly engaged with that well, you might give it a day or 2 and you can watch it back.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And you can go over the bits where you think, well, at this point I made a cup of tea or I've put the washing on or something here, so I'm going to watch this again, and you take a half an hour block on the timeline and you watch it again, and that's really, really useful because. You know, if you have a day where you're not particularly at the races, you might have a bit of a cold or something in class, and you're like, I didn't really take that in, or I've written something in my notes, what did I mean?
Yes.
Then you can go to that time of that lecture and you can see, oh right, I get it now, and you can reword what you've done.
Wow.
I think that's an amazing resource, and me personally, I would really miss it. And if we did a module next year and it was apparent that it wasn't going to be used, I would be going to Khadija, our representative, to ask why it's not being used, because it doesn't look like a particularly complicated thing. I think it just takes a little bit of openness from the lecturers to engage in it and to make it work, basically, because for the university as a whole, for the social work programme, I think it's a great addition.
Brilliant, thank you.
And like you were saying, it's so interactive. It's far greater than using just a dictaphone.
Yeah.
Usually, if I've used a dictaphone, I would have to make a note in my notes saying, "Oh, Dan was talking about this at 2 hours and 5 minutes on that," but I can easily fast forward and find that point in the video that's been recorded. That was for revision purposes.
Yeah.
That was really, really valuable. And like for those particular days where you maybe didn't engage like in lesson, or you didn't engage as well as you were working at 100%, just being able to go back and be involved in that entire interactive experience again and see everything going on, intertwining all together, is really, really valuable, much better than just listening to a recording.
Sure. Great. So, Khadija, would you miss it in the second
I
year?
would definitely miss it.
Yeah.
No, I think it's been really, really helpful starting placement as well. I noticed a lot of people couldn't really make it into Friday lectures because of the commitments that they had during the week. So I think it worked really well for that. And next year, longer placement, a lot more work to do, dissertation, etc. I think it would be really missed if we didn't have it next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But definitely attending online in virtual space or online in person, not replacing, not going at all. That wouldn't work.
Okay.
Definitely not.
So there's no substitute.
No substitute.
Okay. Fab. Brilliant. Is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Brilliant. Well,
Just love collaborative.
Yeah.
so thanks for your time and
Use it.
yeah, use it. Well, yeah, use it. So it's up to us, I suppose, isn't it, to have the confidence to use it to complement teaching and learning strategies, because we've seen from the students' perspective it certainly aids their learning, but also their experience at being at Salford, and that's really, we couldn't really ask for much more. So, well done. Thanks for your time. And again, they've just finished a law exam and they're given the time to come up. So, thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. Cheers.